Hello everyone, this is Neha Tulsyan from Crescent Creation. Welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Welcome back to my Christmas card series 2022, and this is the fourth video in the series. And today I have attempted a larger card. So this is not a regular note size card that I usually make. This is a 5x7 card which I made using a 3D embossing folder from Spellbinders. It's called the Scenic Poinsettia 3D embossing folder. So I added a white cardstock that measures 5x7 inches to my embossing folder and passed it through my die cutting machine. I'm using my Platinum 6 Spellbinders die cutting machine, and I'm also using their universal plate system. These 3D embossing folders from Spellbinders are not to be used with the regular cutting pads. You need to have the universal plate system. So once I have my background all embossed, I'm gonna go ahead and use some inks to ink it up. I'm bringing out few of my new blending brushes from our store, and I'm also opening up my new distress color, that's the Lumberjack Plaid. I'm so excited to use this. So I'm starting with adding some color to the center of the flowers. I'm adding some yellow color using the Mustard Seed Distress Oxide ink. Just lightly go over the areas. Don't be bothered if the color goes to other areas too. It's okay, we're gonna fix it later. So here I'm almost done adding the yellow color to the center of the flowers. I'm also adding a little bit of that yellow color to the leaves too. So I'm not being very careful, I'm being a little bit of careful. I'm going very light-handed, as you can see, just barely touching my cardstock, but I'm not being too careful. It's okay if you get the color in other areas too. So here I'm coming with my next color, that's my Lumberjack Plaid, and I'm going over my flowers. While I'm adding color to my flowers, it's hard to avoid the center of the flower where we have already added yellow color. So I'm getting that red color over the yellow, but because of the yellow underneath, it looks a little orangish and I get a good variation there. I'm also adding the red color to those teeny tiny small berry looking kind of bunch. So I'm gonna do that to all the flowers and the berries in the background. This was a fairly quick card for me. Usually with my cards, the scenes I create, it takes a lot of time for me to color all my images and create and put together the scene and create the card. So comparatively, this was a very quick card for me. Also, I'm not used to these kind of cards. My style is a little different, but I always like to try different styles with my cards, especially during the holiday season. I like to try different kinds of products. I don't own a whole lot of embossing folders, but I love the 3D embossing folders from Spellbinders. They just add so much of detail to your cards, and it's fun to add ink to all those details and bring those details to life. So here I'm almost done inking with my red color. I'm just going over a few areas that I missed. Next, to add the green color to this background, I'm bringing in Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide ink. Okay, so let me tell you, this color combination here, the red and the green, this is gonna be my favorite color combination for this season. Trust me, I love these two colors together, the Lumberjack Plaid and the Rustic Wilderness. They are like match made in heaven, or maybe should I say match made in Tim Holtz lab. This new color, this new red Lumberjack Plaid is the color that was missing, I mean, from the collection. It's just so beautiful red and so Christmassy, just perfect for this season. So here you can see I was almost done with the green color, and I went back with my yellow color and added a little bit of that bright yellow to the center of my flowers. That just enhanced the center of the flower a little bit more. And here I'm just going back and forth and retouching the areas that I see that I missed. And if you want, you can stop now on this background. This is it. It looks beautiful as is. So you can leave this background and just add your sentiment and be done with this card. But for me, I wanted to take this background a step forward. So here I'm just adding a dark brown color using my Copic marker. I'm using the color E49 here, and I'm just adding that color all over my white spaces, or should I say all of those negative areas of the embossing design. It took me almost 15 minutes to cover the whole background. This was a big one. It is a 5x7 background, so it took me a little extra time, but it wasn't bad. And you don't have to worry about being perfect. Just be a little careful around the designs. You don't want a lot of that brown color over the design. So here I have not sped up my video. I wanted to show you in real time how I colored this background. And I also have a tip for you. So when coloring tight spaces, just put your marker in 90 degrees angle. So completely straight instead of in a slanting position like here. I've zoomed in to show you what exactly I'm talking about. This way just helps you get in those teeny tiny spaces and you get some nice fine strokes. Here I have colored the whole background with my E49 marker, and now I just wanted to again enhance this background a little bit more. So again, you can stop here. You can just add a sentiment and call it a day. But if you want to, I'm using R39 marker here, and I'm just adding some details to my flowers, and I'm also going to add some details to the leaves. So using the feathering motion, I'm just adding some details to all the petals of my flowers, and it did not take a whole lot of time because it was super quick. I finished adding the details to all my flowers off camera. I just showed you how I did one. I did the same way for rest of my flowers too. And here I'm adding some details to all the leaves using G19 Copic marker. Again, it's super quick, but if you choose not to do it, you can leave it as is too. It's gonna look beautiful anyways. So here I'm almost done adding all the details using my Copic markers. And this is how my background looks once done. I am absolutely in love with this background. Now for my sentiment, I'm using this die from the Camper Life Etched dies from the Warm Wishes Camper collection from Spellbinders. This is an amazing die set to have in your collection. I will have a video sharing some Christmas cards using this die set later in this series. So for this sentiment, the center die cuts Merry Christmas sentiment and the outside die cuts it into a rectangle. I also used just a rectangular die to cut out a gold foiled rectangular piece to be laid behind my Merry Christmas sentiment. So now my elements are all ready, and all I have to do is put together my card. So here I'm just trimming my background a little bit using my Gilded trimmer here. So this was a 5x7 piece of cardstock, and I am trimming a 1/4 inch from all four sides. So it will be a 4.5 by 6.5 piece of background. Here I'm preparing my sentiment. I'm applying glue behind the sentiment strip, and I'm gonna go ahead and glue it on top of that mirrored die cut. Make sure they're both lined up properly. Since they are die cut using the same die, it wouldn't be hard. Make sure using a strong glue because it's a mirrored cardstock. It's hard to glue onto, so you need to make sure that you are using a strong glue so that everything sticks together properly and does not come off. Once that's glued nicely, I'm gonna go ahead and apply some foam tape behind the sentiment. I'm using these foam strips from our store to add some dimension to our sentiment here. These adhesive strips are just perfect to add dimensions to the sentiment strips or to use with shaker cards. They just work amazingly. There are 2 sizes that comes in a pack, and they are currently available in the store. The link is in the description box below. And here I'm preparing my card base. So I have taken 2 white cardstocks. One is 5x7 inches and the other one is 5.5 by 7 inches, and I've scored it at 1/2 inch on that 5.5 side. Applied some strong double-sided tape on that 1/2 inch score, and now I'm gluing both the pieces together to create my card base. Since I don't make 5x7 cards so frequently, I did not have any card base prepared, so I had to prepare it while I was making this card. Here, when I was putting everything together, I felt something was missing in this area. I really wanted to mat my card front to gold mirrored cardstock. So here I'm just applying some tape behind my card front, and I'm gonna go ahead and glue it to gold mirrored cardstock, leaving a little bit of border all around. This is my favorite way when it comes to layering cardstocks. It's always hard and I always struggle to get the perfect placement. So this is what I do. I take a bigger piece of the layering cardstock and I just make sure that the top and the left part is nice and leveled, like you get the exact placing, so I don't have to look for all four sides, just the top and the left side, and then I cut off the excess, and that way I know that I always get the perfect placement. Now that my card front is layered and I have a beautiful golden border showing all around, I'm gonna go ahead and glue this piece to my card base. Now I'm just removing the backing from my sentiment strip that we prepared earlier, and I'm just gluing my sentiment in place. Make sure it's straight, and if you want, you should use your T ruler. It just helps with the placement of the sentiment, especially in cards like this. I recently broke my T ruler, so I have to order one. Yeah, that's a story for some other day. So here I just eyeballed, and looks like my sentiment is nice and straight. And for the center of my flowers, I'm just adding some golden stickles, adding dots of golden stickles to replicate the flower center as much as I can. And make sure you don't do what I'm gonna do next. Okay, be careful that you have added the stickles and they're not dried yet. So yes, you're gonna smear them if you're not being careful, just like me. And don't worry, I'm gonna save the day. I'm not gonna redo the whole card or anything. I just got a little bit of that golden stickle, tinsy bit of it. You see there. So I'm using my craft knife because the stickle is still wet. I'm just using my craft knife to take it away from my white card base, and it wasn't that bad. It was super easy. I just scrape off the stickle and it almost everything came off. I'm happy that there's no more of that yellow stickle on my card base. I'll just wipe it off using my wet wipe here. It's not so wet, it's pretty dry, so it was easy to use and my cardstock was not soggy or anything. My card is almost done here. Just one more thing to add. I added these golden gilded pearls from our store. I mean, how can I not? These just perfectly matched with the mirrored cardstock and the stickles, and added just that extra oomph that you want on your card. And that finished my card for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you haven't watched all the videos from this series, I have created a playlist and it's linked in the description box below. Thank you so much for all your love and support. I really appreciate you guys. I love to connect with you guys. So please leave me a comment below and let me know how you like this card. Until next time, happy crafting!